This week on the Four Rivers Ag Report, snow thanks Mother Nature. We'll keep the moisture, but how about some warmth? Also, when giants clash, what happens to the little guys? And if you think you belong on a tractor, where do you go from here? That and more on the Four Rivers Ag Report. Welcome to the Four Rivers Ag Report. I'm Fred Peralta. If I look a little stooped over, it was from clearing a foot of spring off my driveway this week. I hope everyone was safe and we've seen the last of the white precipitation for a while. It's technically spring. Yes, it is. I've checked it on the calendar. And many farmers are anxiously waiting to get started. I talked to Jim Loaf about springtime when a young man's fancy turns to farming. With me now is Jim Loaf of the U of I Extension in our area, Coles, Cumberland, Shelby, Moultrie, Douglas, Cumberland. I got them all, yes. And I asked Jim to come today to talk about, the snow's put us maybe a week behind, but, how are we shaping up for this fall?
Well, it looks like we could have another good start to a crop. That's been, fairly common that we're getting off to a good start. The last couple of years we didn't have as good a finish as we wanted, but so I think, moisture-wise we're getting in shape and we should be good to go when we can get things warmed up a little bit. It's still early, even though Easter is just around the corner.
It's early, but the guys I've talked to are anxious to get busy on something. What sort of things can they think about doing that they have time now to fuss with?
Well, this is the time to really sit down and make sure that all the chains are in the right condition, all the parts on every piece of equipment are oiled, greased, or whatever, and ready to go. There's always something on a planter or a tillage tool or a tractor that wears, and this is the time to calibrate those things, make sure all the seed monitoring devices are working properly, and get ready to go. A lot of those things are done by the farmers, but some aren't. So probably if you haven't been diligent and worked on that, especially since we've had some decent weather to give us the hope that we wouldn't have snow right now to be sitting here waiting. But if you have to take it to the shop, it may be a little late to get it.
So it's maybe a little bit late to get it into the shop, but if otherwise, just tweak everything, make sure everything's in good shape.
Adjust and get ready to go. And the thing is, some people don't like to really be the first one in the field, although that's probably a minority. But, if you get out there, you get things in shape, you might want to plant just a little bit to see if everything's working. Don't just start full bore, work on it a little bit and kind of ease into it. That's always good.
Especially since it's been a damp spring and some areas might be ready to go while other areas aren't.
That's for sure. And we still, even though Easter is here, we always look at the calendar and say it's late, but we really need to look at the environment we're working in and decide whether it's late or early to be planted.
Well, late is a relative term, especially after last season. So speaking of last season, I've talked to farmers, periodically. My crop guys are going to be starting up soon, but what were the official numbers as far as the crops go that we got?
At this point in life, I don't work as much from memory. So,
ask the man with the paper in his hands.
We've got the statistics from the crop reporting services, and for 2012, the reported yield by them is for Coles County was 89.3, Cumberland County 34.3, Douglas County 99.4, Moultrie 115.1, and Shelby 72.7.
So way down from
way
previous.
Down. If we look at a 07 through 2010 average, most of those are off 50%, and Cumberland even more than that.
Almost, definitely half the yield on corn.
Soybeans were pretty close. Soybeans, we were like the 4-year average of those years was 51.7, and we had an average of 44.9 in 12. So the soybeans came on and made up some of the ground.
So that's the story I've heard all spring and all last fall was, corn way down, but you still got something out of the ground. And beans, Isaac saved the day and made the crop something worthwhile. So have the people you talk to, are they are they doing anything different this season? Or are they pretty much going rotate corn and beans again?
Well, I think there's always debate on corn. I think probably in years like this, we have some fertilizer residuals. We don't have as much residue maybe. There might be some out there saying maybe this is the year to go back with a little more corn. You have to make seed decisions a lot of times in December, maybe even November.
A lot of those decisions have already been made.
Right.
So.
And even if they're made, you may not get the seed. The Japanese have a system of in-time supply, and that's kind of the way the seed system is. A lot of it comes from climates that would have it harvested in February or March. So, sometimes we get in a tight situation there. But with the residues the way they are, we still need to watch the temperatures of the soil. We need 55 degrees at 2 inches. We need 50 degrees at 6 inches. Most people probably don't take the 6-inch temperature, but that top little bit can vary.
Right.
So it's important to have a little deeper the right temperature, and getting that plant off to a good start.
So it's not so important, guys, to be the first in. It's the one to get the best in, right?
Yes, we've got research data. There's a body of that work out there about planting speed, and their numbers are 4.2 bushel per acre for every mile an hour you reduce between 6 and 4.5. So because you can calibrate your planter in the shop at 10 miles an hour and it will drop the seeds the proper spacing, does not mean that will work in the field. So, you need a seal, you need a kind of a tube or a channel for that to grow in. It needs to be sealed on the top. It doesn't need trash in it. You need consistent depth, because there's another body of work that says irregular germination can cost you as much as 20 bushels per acre.
So the moral of the story is, don't let your teenager do your planting.
Well, I would say maybe the teenager might watch the monitor and do something that, don't be in a hurry.
Don't be in a hurry.
Do it right is the message to that. Take your time and do it right.
And also I'd say do it safely. Thank you, Jim. Monica is here with news of two seed giants making nice. Monica?
Thanks, Fred. I'm Monica Becker. Two seed giants have agreed to bury the hatchet, and it was a really big hatchet. Monsanto and DuPont have resolved several patent lawsuits on genetically modified seed technologies. DuPont agreed to pay Monsanto $1.75 billion and a series of licensing agreements that allows DuPont to use Monsanto-developed traits in its own corn and soybean seeds. Before this, DuPont had a $1 billion jury award against it. This agreement dismisses that. But this isn't the only good news for Monsanto. Farm Policy reports that Congress might be very, very kind to the agribusiness giant. The blog reports that a Senate amendment to a spending bill will dictate to the USDA how they can respond to a court order when one of Monsanto's genetically modified seeds is challenged. Experts are unsure of the exact impact, but it's assumed that this will allow Monsanto to continue to sell and have farmers use any seeds during any court battles. They say that passing a law is like watching sausage getting made. In this case, it will be inspected. In the same amendment, Congress ordered the USDA not to furlough any meat inspectors during the sequester-imposed spending cuts. Groups from Tyson Foods to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association weighed in and lobbied many in Congress to mandate the meat inspectors stay on the job. USDA estimates that the 15-day furlough on inspectors could lead to a loss of $10 billion and cut production of beef, chicken, and eggs by billions of pounds. It could also have resulted in price spikes and shortages of animal-based food products. The Des Moines Register is reporting that Illinois and Iowa are battling over a fertilizer plant, and it could directly affect this area. Cronus Chemicals is planning to build a fertilizer production facility either in Mitchell County, Iowa, or just down the road in Tuscola, Illinois. The project would create hundreds of jobs and a large amount of capital to whichever state and area that they decide on. The issue? Which state will negotiate property taxes on the site? The company representatives went before the Illinois House and Senate committees last week asking for approval of tax breaks. However, Iowa is reportedly offering an estimated $35 million in taxpayer subsidies to build the plant. And that isn't necessarily sitting well with Iowan voters. Iowa Governor Terry Branstad has been criticized for offering to provide a $1.4 billion break to the company building the plant and potentially another $100 million over the next several years of operation. Illinois lawmakers have been negotiating with the company, but there's no word yet as to what Illinois is willing to give up to get the project. You can get almost anything at Walmart. Groceries? Check. Banking? Check. 10-point buck? Arrested? Check and check. 40-year-old Arcangelo Bianco Jr. said he saw a buck running through the parking lot of the Burrell Township Walmart in Pennsylvania. He had gone there to do some banking, but when life hands you a little dough, why not make a buck? According to the commission, Bianco fired several rounds at a hapless white-tailed deer and bagged the animal on the other side of a nearby highway one afternoon last November. According to witnesses, Bianco hopped out of the truck, gun in hand, and began firing multiple rounds at the deer. Jack Lucas, the wildlife conservation officer who investigated the incident, said, "Obviously, we can't have someone running through a Walmart parking lot shooting at a deer." And so Bianco was charged with a count of reckless endangerment, hunting without a license, shooting on or across highways, and unlawful killing or taking of big game. The only good news was that it was technically the first day of deer season. That's it for this week. I'm Monica Becker.
And with us now is John Althouse. He's the director of the Agriculture Department at Lakeland College. And John, springtime is also a time when young people's thoughts turn to what they're going to do with the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
Now, we have a lot of people in this area who are interested in agriculture. Mm-hmm. If somebody is interested in a career in agriculture, what things do they need to think about?
Well, first of all, I would encourage any young person to go on and get a degree past high school. Mm-hmm. And at Lakeland College, obviously, that would be the place we'd like them to do it.
Yes.
In agriculture at Lakeland, we have several different programs. Mm-hmm. We have a transfer program that can send students anywhere in the United States.
Okay.
Of course, that institution has an agriculture program itself. We have an ag business program, an ag production program, ag power technology, John Deere technology, and also horticulture. And so when you kind of tie all those things together, students, for example, who really like to work with livestock or farming, production would be a great route for them to take. Mm-hmm. If a student enjoys, let's say, more of the sales aspect of things, ag business would be a great route for them to take. Certainly students that would be looking at really liking to work with engines and new technologies.
Okay.
Ag power, John Deere technology would be a great way to go. And of course, obviously, students who just like to work with plants, landscaping, different things like that, horticulture would be a great route for them to take.
So there's lots of different angles. How does a student narrow down what they like and what they're good at?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. They have to spend a lot of time, I think, in reflection about what they really enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if a young person likes to work outdoors, mm-hmm. Then certain programs are not going to lend themselves to that. So it's really about what students really enjoy doing in life, what their passion is, what kind of sets the internal fire for them, and then they need to pursue that to the absolute greatest degree. When I was a young person, agriculture was very special to me, but particularly within agriculture, the swine area, the beef cattle area, and anything really relative to livestock was what I wanted to go into, and so animal science was the route that I took.
Okay. So what's new in agriculture that the Ag Department is seeing students need to learn about?
Right. Well, right now, I would say the biggest thing, Fred, is the move towards even greater reliance on precision agriculture.
What is precision agriculture?
Well, it's basically using the technology of global positioning systems to be able to more efficiently farm ground.
Okay, GPSs and other seed
Right.
counters and that sort of thing.
Using satellite technology to, for example, take a fertilizer spreader down the center of a field and have it apply more fertilizer in one 3-acre grid as opposed to another 3-acre grid which might need less.
Okay.
And so in being able to do that, a farmer will be able to make more efficient use of their fertilizer costs. Obviously, we have things in combines like yield monitors. This technology is available in planters, and we even have it in tractors through what's referred to as auto steer.
Okay.
Where a farmer could basically just kind of set his path down through a field and read a newspaper while he's
Well, that's
tilling
my
the
kind
ground
of
or planting
farming.
the soil. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So that's technology is becoming more and more prevalent in the production end of agriculture. You know, what else? I mean, what else? What sorts of specialties are going to become more important in ag education?
Well, I think basically when my dad was growing up, when I started college, there was basic foundational knowledge that you had to have about production agriculture. Obviously today young people are getting greater exposure to technology through computers and knowing their way around a computer. My daughter probably knows her way around a computer better than I do. But the technologies that students are going to be able to pick up early on in life are going to be very important. And anything involved with technology, obviously you've got to be able to do critical thinking, so math skills are important. Communication skills will always be a big piece of any
Excellent.
career that a student would plan on going into and that kind of thing. So when we look at where we are today in agriculture compared to where it was 15 years ago or 20 years ago and where we will be 20 years from now, it's a little hard to see in the crystal ball, but the one thing you can pretty well guarantee is our students in agriculture are going to have to be a lot smarter about technology, and that, of course, obviously from an ag education standpoint, puts a lot more of the shoulders a lot more on the instructor to make sure that they stay updated in different technologies.
Yeah, I have problems with my smartphone. So, John, so if a student is interested in the agriculture and the ag program in Lakeland, how do they get started?
Okay. Well, basically, we have a college website, www.lakeland.cc.il.us. And on that college website, they'll find a location that lists all the different academic programs at Lakeland, and agriculture obviously is one. There'll be contact information for each program director of the programs that we've just discussed, but I would certainly invite them to call me directly to come in for a campus visit. We like to think of ourselves in the Lakeland Agriculture Division as a big family, and we treat our students that way. And so if a student's wanting to come on campus, we're not going to just take 15 minutes with them. We're going to take probably an hour or whatever it takes to get their questions answered. The one thing I would always encourage students to do is to, if they're even remotely thinking about Lakeland, is to, on our college website, do an intent to enroll form. Because there is no cost of application to Lakeland. There's no cost of graduation. And what that does is that gets them in our system.
Sets up a file and gets
Sets up the file, gets orientation going, compass testing if that's needed, all those other kind of things that go along with being a college student. But many, many times I've had students sit in my office and say, well, I really don't know what I want to do. Whether it's the experience of 20 years in education, I kind of feel like I have some of the questions that I can ask a student that will help them at least kind of identify what they really enjoy doing. I'll give you an example. The other day, we had a young man who was in and said, well, I like tractors, but I don't want to turn wrenches the rest of my life. So obviously probably a power technology or John Deere degree is not going to be the best route for him. However, he still enjoys working outside and he likes row crop farming. So obviously maybe the production side of things is a little bit more suited to him.
Excellent. Well, John, I think there's a lot of information there. And if you're interested in finding a new family in agriculture, contact John with Lakeland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred.
Cameron Craig can't be here today, but he wouldn't leave town without first talking about how the storm of the winter actually came in the spring. Braden Harp interviewed Cameron for this week's Under the Four River Skies.
Big question is why we had this big winter storm and it's so late in the winter season. The reason why is you can have significant events happen in March and sometimes in April, but the way that this particular storm developed was that it started out in Colorado, western Kansas, and then it started to track east, just south of I-70. And when it got to Illinois, there was plenty of moisture available from the Gulf of Mexico to wrap around that low pressure. And we were sitting in a trough of cold air, so the temperatures were good enough or low enough to have all snow. All day Sunday, the temperature around the area hovered around 31 to 32 degrees, and so allowed for snow to fall through the atmosphere frozen, but it was close enough to the melting point that it produced a wetter snow. And this is what created our accumulation. Wetter snow is bigger and can accumulate faster. And so that was the situation. Now, as the temperature dropped overnight Sunday into Monday morning, the quality of the snow changed to more of a dusty type of snow, which allowed for more drifts to occur across roadways. When we have a wet snow, the problem with driving for travel is that a wet snow, when it is compacted, when we apply pressure to snow on the ground, it instantly turns to a slush, which then turns into an ice. And so when you have more vehicles and their tires are going over this, it's applying more pressure, and therefore it turns to ice. And this can be a significant threat to travel. And also with walking. When you're walking over the same path that somebody else has created, you're compressing that snow and it turns into ice. The amount of snow left over from this event, as temperatures warm up, it will reduce probably 1 inch each day. And so by Friday, we should see a minimal trace. Now, with the piles of snow up, those will remain for another week and a half. People ask me, how unusual is this particular event? It's not unusual, but it's not usual. We can have snow events and ice storm events well into spring. It all depends on the fluctuation of the jet stream.
There's a whole lot of Twitter going around. Jessica Killow is here to explain in this week's Inside Extension.
Hi, I'm Jessica Killow with your Inside Extension. We are now on Twitter. Follow us to receive updates on agriculture, farm news, master gardeners, our programs, and more. If you do not already have a Twitter account, simply go to twitter.com to create an account. Once you are signed up for Twitter, follow us at UIEXT19. We will also use hashtags as a way for you to easily follow the subject matter. For example, when we tweet about agriculture, we will use hashtag ag. When we tweet about master gardeners, we will use hashtag MG. When we tweet about family life, we will use hashtag family. And when we tweet about youth and 4-H, we will use hashtag 4-H. For a step-by-step guide on how to use Twitter, go to our website. The Coles County 4-H Barbecue will be held Saturday, April 13th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the 4-H Center on the Coles County Fairgrounds. Purchase your tickets in advance from a 4-H'er or from the Extension office. Your meal will include 2 pork chops, a baked potato, applesauce, carrot sticks, bread and butter, brownie, ice cream, and a beverage. You can dine in or carry out. We even have a convenient drive-through. Come by for a fantastic meal. Don't forget that we have a unit-wide Facebook page, which can be found as University of Illinois Extension, Unit 19. By liking us on Facebook, you will be able to receive updates on programs, as well as receive information from all our program areas. In addition, all of our individual counties have their own 4-H Facebook page. If you are a member, parent, leader, or a volunteer for Coles, Cumberland, Douglas, Moultrie, or Shelby County 4-H Club, you will want to find your county's 4-H page on Facebook and like them to receive updates and information. As always, to receive updates on programs and more information, like us on Facebook and check the website. From U of I Extension serving Coles, Cumberland, Moultrie, Douglas, and Shelby counties, this has been Jessica Killow with Inside Extension.
Just a reminder as we get close to planting, please, everyone, be careful. Spring and fall are the time of year we see the most farming accidents. And most, if not all, can be avoided by just using your brain. Get plenty of rest, things will wait. Take your time and do things the safe way. Your fingers will thank you. And listen to your family when they say to stop for the night. Wives can be pretty smart sometimes. And I want you all to stay in one piece. I need all the audience I can get. Well, that's it for this week. Work hard, be safe, and enjoy the beautiful sunsets. I'm Fred Peralta, and thanks for watching the Four Rivers Ag Report.